1, 2, 3. Hi and welcome to my channel. I'm Simon and this is the start of my first reading vlog of 2023. It's probably going to be a bit of a short, sharper reading vlog than maybe the rest of the year, but what I really want with the rest of 2023 is to vlog weekly, so you'll always get a vlog on a Sunday. However, it might be sometimes like a day or a couple of days or just one book or a selection of books. Sometimes they might be themed, sometimes they might not, because I want to read a lot more by whim this year, as you may well have seen in the video that Mum and I are going to be recording in a little bit, but will have gone live before this video does because timey-wimey, where we'll be talking about our plans and intentions. But yeah, I would like to do a vlog every week, but the amount of books I read or the amount of time it lasts is just going to be as in what it is really. It's all going to be a bit by whim. It's all about the whims in 2023. This reading vlog is going to be all about, as you will have seen from the thumbnail, my first read of 2023, and that is going to be The Bluest Eye by Toni Morrison. Now, before I tell you more about this book and my initial, I've literally only read that much last night. I should say it's the 2nd of January as I'm filming this. And I've had family to stay, which is also why this room looks a little bit different, because it has been a bedroom, but I'm quite liking the space around me now. So I feel like I might have to have a library sort out, which maybe in this vlog, it may be another vlog, who knows. I'm also trying not to promise or over plan in 2023. Imagine, who am I? I have, before I talk about this, a real superstition about the first book that I read every year. I feel like it is almost a prophecy or a foretelling, same thing, of what my reading year will be like the year ahead. And so I spend quite a lot of time dithering about it. And I did actually have a selection of 8 books that I shared on Patreon that I thought were going to be my first book. And then, because I am the person that I am, as soon as I create a TV, I'm like, oh, I don't want to read that, or don't want to read those now. I want to read them later. I want to read something else. And so I decided to just pick something up completely by whim yesterday. And I do actually think The Bluest Eye sort of foretells from its own picking, or how I picked it, what I'm hoping this year is going to be like, because this is Toni Morrison's debut. She's an author that I have read before, but I only have read Home, and I read it a good few years ago, way before I was blogging, and had a really, really lovely conversation actually on train about Toni Morrison with a woman who sat opposite me who loved her. But the book wasn't quite for me back then. I think I would enjoy it much more now. And I've said for ages and ages, I would really, really like to go right back to the beginning and read Toni Morrison in order. So I was like, why do I keep saying that? Why don't I just do it? I've also seen it in a few of my favourite booktubers' favourite books of the year videos so far, and that has also really tempted me. Ben of Doom Antidote and CJ over at CJ Reads have both mentioned I'll link their channels down below. And so yeah, so she's been in my mind as anyway, and then also quite recently, and I'm trying to, there's going to be something I'm going to do as the year goes on, where I sort of document how books get onto my periphery. I thought that might be quite a fun thing to do, but that's not for now. I'm just teasing you for something later. Also, this year I really want to read backlist books. This is, like I said, Toni Morrison's debut, so it is a backlist book. And I also want to head to authors where I have quite a few of their books on my shelves and just haven't got round to them either in ages or at all. That's a really, really big thing for me. So, that said, from what I do know about this book, that's the other thing. I don't like to know too much about books before I go into them. I just know that people think that she's amazing, and this is a debut and one that people do mention a lot. But they also say it's a very, very sad and bleak book. And you might be thinking, Simon, why would you want to head to a book that, and it says on the cover, is so charged with pain and wonder that the novel becomes poetry? I quite like emotional books that can take me to really dark places with, I know that Toni Morrison will have beautiful prose, but also from the comfort of wherever you happen to be sat reading. And I do think we need to confront the darker sides of human nature in order to develop as people, but also as, well, society. That sounded a bit grandiose and heavy, but that's one of the other reasons. So what I'm hoping really is that from this, well, I'm hoping that I blink and like it, because that could be an awkward start to the year if I don't. And I think I will from the whopping 4 pages that I read. I'm intrigued by the 4 pages that I've read so far. I'll give you a little summation as to what's going on, because I'm not quite sure yet. But the first, page and a half, or really page, is all in this kind of very childlike children's book way. So it says, here is the house. It's green and white. It has a red door. It is very pretty. Here is the family. Mother, father, Dick and Jane live in the green and white house. They are very happy. See Jane, she has a red dress. She wants to play. And then you go into this italic section, which says, quiet as it's kept. There were no marigolds in the fall of 1941. We thought at the time that it was because Pecola was having her father's baby that the marigolds did not grow. A little examination and much less melancholy would have proved to us that our seeds were not the only ones that did not sprout. Nobody's did. Oh, and the writing is like incredible. And actually, the next bit is called Autumn, my favourite season, so that bodes well. And this line is ridiculous. Nuns go by as quiet as lust, and drunken men and sober eyes sing in the lobby of the Greek hotel. I mean, that just gives me like a tingle. So I have very, very, very like high hopes for this. I have not had a good book tingle, as it were, for quite some time. So I will catch up with you when I have read more of it. Today, my family are leaving. My brother and his girlfriend are off to Sheffield shortly. And actually, me and Mum are going to record our plans and intentions for 2023 for my channel. And also, we're going to be picking our prompts from suggestions that lots of you made for our Savage Prompts 2023, which we're really excited about because we're going to be doing the same prompts in the same month. It all went a bit to pot. It was a bit over the top last year and I was rubbish at it, but I'm hoping to be much better because I'm hoping for a much better reading year than I had in 2022. And then we're off to one of my favourite places, which is Erdig, where I think they still have some slight Christmassy shenanigans going on, and I thought it might be quite nice to get that all wrapped up in the first vlog of 2023. Because the Christmas tree is coming down and stuff as well, and all that can happen while I read my first book and tell you how I get on with it. So there we go. That's the plan. I will catch up with you after I have been to Erdig and said goodbye to my family and probably had a little week because, yeah, it's been a really, 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 really lovely start to the new year. Anyway, I need to get changed and get ready to record with Mum, and then off to a fabulous stately home because I'm on an absolute Downton Abbey tip at the moment, and then I will catch up with you anon. A little bit more that way. I just like it to have a nice balance to it.
Yeah, no, I get that. Symmetry.
There, that's lovely. That's
that
just
lovely?
right. That's just right. Right, you ready?
Yes, Goldilocks.
I'm more of a bear than Goldilocks. Anyway, but I do like porridge and bears.
Oh, I don't like porridge. It's one of the few things I don't like. I always love the smell of it, and then...
Welcome to the enthralling content of 2023 with Louise and Simon. Hey everyone, so I thought I would have a catch up with you again. I have read up to spring in The Bluest Eye and I almost burst into tears at the end of winter. I am finding the story, I want to make sure that I say the name right, Pecola. I'm finding her story so sad, visceral, haunting, and the way Toni Morrison writes about her being bullied is so vivid and so cool. There's just been a scene with this white boy and his mum and the cat and her. And what was really clever actually before that was that initially you were in the headspace of the mother and you were feeling really sorry for her about the situation she was in and how she's never had an orgasm. There was once a time that she was almost close when a panty liner fluttered in her pants, and there's this kind of comedy, heartwarming yet melancholy, and then you find out she's a horrible racist bitch basically, and that I thought was really powerful. And then there's a twist on that as well. Sorry, I should say that this book is all about Pecola really, from lots of different angles we see her. So sometimes we'll see her through the eyes of two sisters who know her at school. Sometimes we'll be in her head, sort of, and then we'll see her through other different incidents that happen to her from other characters. Like I said, this incident with this horrible woman and her vile son who lived next to the school. And it's just brilliantly done. And honestly, Toni Morrison's writing is so amazing. If I was an annotator, or if I did those clever tab things that people do that I'm always quite jealous of, I would be doing both of those things. Well, is annotating when you make notes and highlight and everything? I'd do all of that and I'd be tabbing away, because every single page has something so beautiful, whether it be hopeful or whether it be something that destroys you emotionally. I love the there are lots of really great set pieces. There's one lovely bit where Pecola's gone to visit the prostitutes that live near her, and they're a fantastic trio of women that I absolutely loved, these three whores who live upstairs. And then there's another brilliant set piece with the sisters that I talked about, where they're paid to go and get ice cream by the mother's lodger, and we find out why. And so there's all this sort of extra stuff going on around Pecola, but it's really about her in a lot of ways, and also the society she finds herself in from lots of different angles. And yet I'm like not even halfway. Maybe I'm just, no, I don't think I'm quite halfway. But I know, because I had to flick through because I'm a naughty what's it, that the next part of the book is The Longest Spring. So I'm going to head to that and then catch up with you in the morning before I finish it when I get to summer maybe, and we can have some more thoughts there. But I'm so glad I picked this. I can understand why people think it's such an incredible book, because I think it's such an incredible book. And yeah, I don't know what this says about my reading for 2023, if this is to foreshadow it, other than bloody brilliant, frankly. So I just thought the last two parts of this book, although really they're the first two parts as well, apart from those two very short bits. Hi, Oscar. Oscar wants to cuddle. Where is he? Oscar, where are you? There you are. Do you want to cuddle? Sometimes he paws if he wants to cuddle. I don't think he'll do it now because he knows he's being filmed. Anyway, yeah, Autumn I thought was really well written. Then Winter has just blown me away. And like I said, I was almost in tears. Oh, I'm being pawed. Let's see if he does it. Do you want to cuddle? Do you want to cuddle, Oscar? Yeah, you do. You want to cuddle. Oh, don't ruin my top, don't ruin my top. Right, anyway, before he ruins my clothes, that's the catch-up. And I'm going to now cuddle Oscar while I read the next bit, and I'll catch up with you after that. Hi everyone, it is now Thursday the 5th of January, and it's been a couple of days since I filmed. That is because on Tuesday, after everyone had gone, decided it was time for a big get Christmas out, give the house a big old clean and sort of sort, and I've kind of been doing that over the last few weeks. I was filming on my Patreon blog and started sorting out my wardrobes. I then gave the library a big sort, although I think it needs more, which we'll talk about shortly. But yeah, I then, after sorting all the rooms out and everything, had a massive Durkham's flare yesterday. It happens. If I overexert myself, I should know better. But you know, once you're in the mood, you're in the mood and you just want to get stuff sorted. And I think it takes a real specific mindset for all of that. Anyway, that is why we are late with a catch up. Now, before I tell you more about The Bluest Eye, because I'm now at the final point of the book, Summer, I wanted to just mention a couple of things. Firstly, because I've been sat here in this tracksuit for a majority of this video, I thought while I'm in it again, I would do a thumbnail. And I thought, because I want to tease people as to what my first book of 2023 is, I would do that. So I've made a pretend cover on a real book that isn't The Bluest Eye and put question marks on it. I spent ages colouring this in and getting the question marks just so. Is that really sad? That could be the thumbnail or I don't know. Anyway, it'll happen after I film this, but I thought I'd mention that. And then also, I forgot to share with you something lovely that I bought when I was in Erdig on Monday. And it's come in this gorgeous National Trust shop because apparently I'm now middle-aged. That's what my mother told me. And it came as a shock to me, even though possibly it shouldn't. But I don't like to feel like 40s middle-aged. I don't feel like I'm quite ready for that yet. Anyway, I could just be in denial. But what I did get, which is also probably actually more Nana than middle-aged, but I do embrace my Nana side, is this gorgeous throw. And it's made out of recycled materials. And the thing that inspired me to get this was the footstool that God, even my family think I'm really old. My little brother and his girlfriend got me for the library, which goes really nicely with my beige armchair, which is over there. But actually what I might do is with all of that is move it over to where the pink chair is and switch them around. I'm thinking of having a little bit more of a switcheroo with the library, even though I have had a major sort of it, as I mentioned. So anyway, yeah, that's that. Right, let's catch up with the book, The Bluest Eye. Now, I have slowed down with it, and that's in part because Durkham's flare, so I wasn't reading much, although I did read quite a lot of short stories and a poetry collection and bits of this, but also because in one part I kind of, you know when you really love a book and you don't want it to end, even though this is brutal in a lot of ways and very disturbing, I don't want it to end, but also because of how disturbing and brutal spring gets, I needed to sort of pace myself with it a bit, because we're back in the mind's eye of the two sisters, but then we also go into the mind's eye of this really horrible, fraudulent vicar who has a dealing with Pecola, which is awful. And then also we go into the mindset of her father, Cholly, and discover how he becomes the man he is and then why he does what he does. And it's really hard to read, but I think Toni Morrison has done a phenomenal job of looking, with all the people around Pecola, she looks at why people end up doing the things that they do. That isn't asking them for forgiveness, it's all about understanding. And I think that's so important in fiction, is to make us not accept or to forgive or agree with abhorrent things or thoughts or anything in life, but it's to understand why people might do what they do, say what they say, think what they think. And this to me is a really powerful nod to that. So yeah, I thought that honestly, this book has kind of just really, really blown my mind. And there is a real part of me that's like, oh, I just want to binge everything Toni Morrison has read from now until I finish them all. But I'm not going to do that. I'm going to pace them like I did this section of the book. There was a little bit of me as well. It's like, I really want to get my first book of the year read because, you know, I want to get it on Instagram and I am seeing like some people are on their third, fourth or fifth book already. I'm like, how? Some of them have got full-time jobs. What's going on? Anyway, but no judgment, because actually one thing that I was going to talk about when I held up this was how I felt judged recently when I saw a booktuber discussing how when booktubers put their spines out like that in videos, it's like quite thirsty and a bit clickbaity. But I was like, well, yeah, but that's kind of the whole point, because you want to draw people in to watch. And actually, me as a viewer of other channels, I've gone off on a tangent away from this, I'm really sorry, but we'll get back to it. Me as a viewer of other channels, if I see a lot of books in that selection someone's holding up that I haven't read, I'm less likely to to watch that video because I like to know very little going in before I read a book, especially with a single book video. Actually, I'll save that, go back to it once I've read the book. Anyway, I wondered if any of you did that actually, and what your thoughts were on the whole showing that side rather than that side, or this, or showing this instead of this. Anyway, back to this. This is a messy bit of catch up. I'm just absolutely blown away by Toni Morrison's writing, and I kind of don't want it to end. I know I've not got very long left, and I can only hope things get better for Pacola. That's all I want, frankly. So absolutely stunning, really hard hitting, but absolutely loving it. If loving is the right thing to say about a book that is inherently quite disturbing. I always never know what the best term for a book that you really, 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 really like / love that is harrowing and heartbreaking, a bit like A Little Life, to be fair. Anyway, I am going to stop waffling here. I'm going to build a second book trolley. I have a secret one that I've not discussed here that I might discuss on Patreon at some point, but I'm going to build a second one because after buying the sofa, after buying the throw for my armchair, and that I kind of want to have a rejig of the library. I think I want to get some lamps at some point and all sorts, but that might be later in the week and might not be a part of this vlog, we'll see. But I'm going to do that, and then I'm going to read Summer. I think I've only got, oh gosh, I've lost my place. I've only got about 15, 20 pages left, and I really, really kind of don't want it to end, although I do because it's harrowing, and also because I just want to see good things happen to Pacola. But well, I'm hoping they do. Oh, if they don't, I'm going to be a bit of a mess. Anyway, either way, I will be back once I've done that. I will, I think, because as I make my book trolley, I'm going to film a video for Patreon. I might do a time lapse of me videoing it. I might do a time lapse of me building it and making that video. We got there in the end. We got there in the end. So that's what you're going to see next. And then I will catch up with you once I am finished with The Bluest Eye. Will I be in one of the pretty much only 2 or 3 outfits that I've worn in this whole video? I don't know. Only time will tell. Do you even care? I'll speak to you all in a bit. Hi everyone, it is a few days later. Apologies for the darkness. I've just been editing, and when I then came back after having read the final part of The Bluest Eye, which you practically can't see right now because of the time that it is that I'm editing, I realised that after I read Summer and chatted about it, one, I was really emotional and couldn't quite make sense, but then I gave away some spoilers. So I'm going to chat about it now, also with the benefit of hindsight. I was going to say this remains my favourite book of the year because, well, no, I've read a couple more since then, but more on those in another video coming up, not in this darkness. This book has blown me away, and I think could become, I don't know if it could become a favourite because of the subject matter, but it's such an incredible, powerful book. I won't give away what happens to Pacola. I will say that it wasn't what I expected. It wasn't really what I hoped for, and I ended up very upset by it. I had a little bit of a weep, maybe, and then when I was trying to explain it afterwards, I just was quite incoherent. But what I wanted to say that I really, really loved about this is the fact that I think I forgot to say how when we were hearing about Pacola's mother's story, we get like the narrative around her, but we also literally get like quotes from her about her life, and I love the way this played with form as well as everything else it did. I feel like maybe I just need to put a light on. This lighting is awful, but you will notice that the bum has moved up there. I'm having a change around, well, that's about to change actually in the next 24 hours. Anyway, you'll get to see that in another video. But going back to The Bluest Eye, I just found it incredible, and I thought the writing was superb. I thought the way that she looks at the situation of this girl Pacola, and tells you kind of all about her and what she's been through, but also the generations of sort of traumas or difficulties or the way her family have felt before that have led up to the incident. Like I said before, not to forgive anyone, but to try and understand. I wouldn't go as far as empathise, because some of the characters' minds that you go into are pretty heinous, but I just thought all of that was absolutely phenomenal, and the way it made me feel so emotional, and the fact that it was so frank in so many ways and very direct, I really appreciated that. I admired that actually a lot, because that's not an easy thing to do without it possibly feeling voyeuristic, which it never did. It just felt deeply uncomfortable. But I think, as I've said before, that's quite an important thing to feel through fiction, or to be able to feel through fiction, because you're doing it through a book in your hands in the safety of wherever you're reading. But for me, it really was that getting to understand some really complex characters, some really dark themes, but done in a way that you could tell Toni Morrison really cared for her characters, even if they were wicked, even if they did wicked things, even if she had to put some of them through horrendous moments. There was this sense of, I guess, love for them all in some kind of way. I thought it was absolutely incredible, and what a way to start my reading year in 2023. I'm hoping I'm going to find loads of fantastic reads like this. Definitely want to head to more authors that I either have only read 1 or 2 books by, or not read at all, and get to some of those books that, you know, have been part of the, and not always like well-known names like Toni Morrison. I have to say, like, there are some lesser known authors that I would really like to get to too. I think sometimes I forget, because through work, just through magpie vision for the sparkly and new, I do forget about the older books. I definitely want to address that, and I really, really want to definitely read more Toni Morrison this year. This will not be the last you see of me and Toni Morrison spending time together, as it were. Backlist is definitely something I want to do. That said, I may have read a recent book recently, so you'll have to wait for another video for that. But I hope you enjoyed this video. I'm sorry if it was a bit all over the shop, and I hope you enjoyed the fact that they're a bit more chatty, I think, as well as taking off to do certain stuff. And I'll be back with another one next Sunday, and some other video on probably Wednesday, although I'm not over promising things, but that's what my intention is. I need to think of something, actually. I haven't thought of a video, so if you've got any video ideas, let me know in the comments down below. Also, please let me know in the comments down below what your first book of 2023 has been, and I would love to hear your thoughts on when booktubers hold books that way. Does it bother you? Does it not bother you? Do you care? Are you that fussed about thumbnails at all? Because I'm aware mine are quite basic. So yeah, anyway, I will catch up with you all soon. I hope you're having a fantastic 2023 so far. And like I said, let me know all those things down below. And if you like this video, like it. If you want to subscribe and you haven't, feel free to do so. My Patreon and everything else is all linked down below, on my Instagram, which I'd love you to come and join me on. And I will see you all very, very soon. Bye.